Everything here on earth is about a struggle for life force. If you immediately go to the Satanists, they try to steal this life force from the children. And to make more life force available, they torture them so that they get in pain, upset, afraid, and they go more than usual into the emotional realm of life, and that's where the life force can be, at least on an earthly level, can be let's say harvested, exchanged. Only it's not, people must not believe that it's all about some material asset, is the word I think, material good, in this case the adrenochrome that they would get, some kind of drug, because in the end life is not material of its nature, it's the life force itself. So if they are present at a torturing event, where they torture children and even kill them, or they being there, they get something of this life force, at least for the moment. Of course after a while it doesn't work anymore, because they're not alive themselves. The way these Satanists are dead, so they try to steal life somewhere else, and they project it, that's not totally unjust, that in children there's still this life force. They're not dead yet by society and by all kinds of things, mechanisms, forms nowadays to make people more and more dead. And then they're after this life force, and they might even start, or are already busy starting, making factories, harvesting human life force. But I'm afraid it will also be some kind of torture, so that they can harvest more life force. Their own blood stops running if they're not all the time, if they don't have again and again a shot of this life force of other people who are still more alive. So it's a sad affair here on earth that just like harvesting all kinds of natural resources, they also harvest life force, and it gets more and more depleted. So in the end they're after the last life forces coming through, the last people who have still some left, who are more natural, who are more in the heart. And that's also why there's some kind of panic if the last ones also are dead also. So they have to make factories now where they think they can create this life force so they can live themselves. It's all about this, that they are dead, and they somewhere know it, or not consciously. So via strange ways in their minds, they know they have to go to the children, to not only to rape them, but also to suck them empty, and not even totally empty, because the next shot they need again. So they want to prolong their own fake life, stealing life from others, for these procedures. And if it's not stopped, it gets worse and worse, because the more you do that, the more dead you become. Because it's not real, it's not. These people don't know how to, and also have huge resistance, of course, to go into life themselves and to be sustainable organism themselves that's in contact with their environment, because only in relationship you get this life force, not by yourself. The more self-obsessed you are, the less life force you have. I'm talking especially about the life force on a subtler level. So not pure energy that you can measure in joules or whatever, in kilowatts, these forms of energy, but the life force beyond the form, the formless life force. And that happens in relation only. So they try to do something to the children, which is a supposed relationship, and then these children react, they get upset, they're afraid, and in big pain, and then they sort of harvest, but directly, by this fear of the children, they harvest this life force that comes into existence through contact, through exchange of energies. So in this case they use a dark satanic energy to provoke this life force in the children, to enhance it. It's the same principle, that it's in a way even a bit scary. In the last decades, let's say 2, can be 3, 1, whatever, there's more and more focus on television on emotions. And that's exactly the same principle, because everybody gets so dead. So the program makers, they more and more go to this to evoke emotions in people, and the candidates of whatever stupid quiz or whatever it is that they're doing, reality soap, all to evoke these emotions, real life, that other people can, or they themselves also, harvest, that they get some shot of life, which apparently they don't have anymore, because otherwise you don't create all this fake reality. You don't need it if you're alive yourself. So what's going on here on Earth on a karmic level is that real life is getting more and more rare, depleted, by allowing the ego to rule and to steal and to rape, to whatever it does. One way to deal with this, it's not the most popular way, but well, nowadays it gets more popular, is to expose, but especially to be conscious of what's going on, of this huge battle in the background here on Earth. So not only concentrate or focus on the forms that are bad enough in themselves indeed, but to understand what's really going on, why they do this, why people who are dead, they're sort of desperate and they want their life back, and they cannot do it via the, let's say, the moral way, the ethical way of going through their own process of going to pain that they feel about this. Now they create pain in other people, project their own pain on them, and try to steal their life force there. So this emotional realm is very important here on Earth. I spoke quite a few times about this. And this is also where the people have the most resistance to enter. Also, maybe even especially spiritually minded people, they prefer to skip the whole emotional realm. Unless some soothing remarks like, you're okay as you are, etc. All emotions are okay, etc. But the people who really go into it, to the bottom, they're not many. But this, if you thoroughly, wholeheartedly, wholeheartedly, then it liberates you on an earthly level. That's not all, the whole process, but that's a fundamental, one of the, in a way, 2 fundamental processes. The other one is consonance. Although, of course, it goes together. In fact, you cannot separate these 2 the energetic and the consciousness process. So, of course, we have the tendency to dehumanize the Satanists, but the human part of it is that they are desperate and they need this life force because they think they will die otherwise. It's not totally untrue. Spiritually, they died already, in fact, even though they have their own wicked, if not evil, religion. But that's not true spirituality. True spirituality happens in, it's about relation, being in relation to your environment. It's the relation between the individual and the whole. That's true spirituality. And only stealing, taking energy into yourself, to your own system, that's got nothing to do with spirituality. You cannot build a religion or any path that you would call spiritual. You cannot name it like that. So it's a long wait to wait for the moment that these people wake up in themselves, and they cannot, of course. They need some big kick in the ass from outside to shake them up, to wake them up, that they're being totally irresponsible, and not only that, but also acting in a senseless way, as I said also in the other movie. It doesn't bring them anything. They're totally deluded, and they even put this illusion throughout the whole world now. The illusory world they live in. This world of manipulation, which is all about energy. And even that doesn't bring, that's a sad thing, even that doesn't bring them anywhere in the end. Because it's not only about energy. That's the earthly form of the manifestation form of the formless beyond. So if you're only after this energy, even if you manage, and to some extent they do manage, they do steal the energy of other people, the resources, just name it, the money, that still leaves you empty-hearted, empty-handed. Well, not empty-handed maybe in the material sense, but let's then call it empty-hearted indeed. And with this empty heart, you can grab as much money and all the resources of the world, and you're still the same empty person. It doesn't lead anywhere. It's all a hopeless enterprise they're doing to humanity. That makes it so sad, and if you can separate yourself from the earthly realm, also hilarious. But it's all for nothing. But of course, they cause so much suffering that it's not funny at all. And somehow they believe that the life force is in the blood of the children. Not only children, but also grown-ups, but they're especially after the children. Because they're still more pure, it seems. But also that, as I indicated already, also that is senseless. It would be so great if they could have some lesson of someone like me who shows them this, that it does make sense what they're doing. They have to start all over again with approaching life, being in relation. This is what is lacking, being in relation. They're not in relation with the children. They just evoke some emotion so that the blood changes into the direction they want, and they think they can harvest that. It has got nothing to do with being in a true relationship. In a true relationship, you can only be humble, and you offer yourself, and you see if the other one can respond to that offer, instead of manipulating, let alone torturing and whatever they do. So no, we should not, again, not go away from the emotional realm, from anger, etc. As the deluded spiritual people suppose, because they're taught by crooked, if not bribed, spiritual teachers. You have to totally go into it with your spirit. You go into the emotional realm, into the whole energetic realm here on earth, instead of going away from it because it's too heavy, or you're too afraid, you don't like it feels bad, or you find your courage to go into it and to suffer consciously instead of going away from the suffering. Being here on earth, in this earthly realm, is suffering. And only if you go into it and consciously, then you can transcend it and go beyond it. And you're in the suffering, but you're also beyond it, free there. And if you skip this first part, go into the suffering, you're suffering unconsciously. And people prefer that somehow. They don't make any development that way. And what's worse, you need steal energy, steal especially life force in the dark from other people. So it doesn't happen only with the Satanists, let's face it. It happens everywhere. In virtually all human relations. Only people are not aware of it. They have some often seemingly nice exchange. Although if you look deeper into it, if you feel especially deeper into it, then you'll see that often one of the parties in the exchange, in the relation, in the meeting, has lost some energy. And the other one can go on the energy of the other one again for a while. But somehow this is not a topic that people usually talk about. Here and there you can find something. But it is much more relevant than people realize. And this is at the core of what the Satanists are doing. I mean, this issue. Being not in relationship with the other people, with your environment, and then call it illegally, immorally, stealing the life force. I went into it, the subject in this morning meditation to without any judgment, just energetically, constantly go into it. What are they actually doing when they go with a knife to a child? What they're doing? I mean, just the whole energetic process. What are they trying to do? Is it only a belief, only a mind thought that someone has a relationship to the energetic world? They want to provoke something indeed in the child that they can harvest. And they think it's adrenochrome. On a material level it's not even true probably, but there's something beyond that, which I call, for now at least, the life force. The life force beyond form, I mean. You can see it in pictures of these people. Some people post some pictures of people who use this blood of the children before and after. If they don't have this blood sucking for a while, they totally look dead, like a corpse. And that's true, they lack the life force. And of course they feel it somewhere, so they need another shot. Instead of, as we sometimes talk about here, instead of going into the process with someone of the other sex, or if you want more, and if it's good for the process, more members of the opposite sex, there is the real life force to meet the other, the one that is not you. In this exchange of these other forces, the one representing the form force and the other the formless force, there something happens in this friction, in this meeting, in this duality. Their life is being created out of nothing, you could say, but it's a manifestation of this life already. And it sustains itself that way, maintains itself through this meeting. And if there's some force here on earth that wants to suppress this meeting between man and woman, which is going on now, obviously, as never before, we must not be surprised that this life force in people decreases more and more, diminishes, and the people start to look for other, in my view, fake ways how to still get this life force back, because it's slipping through your hands. It's somewhere half consciously or unconsciously. People notice that they get more and more dead. And the way to do something with it is to become aware of this, that we become more and more dead. This is not something to accept or to take too lightly. It says something. We should be alarmed. What is this? Was it always like this? I mean, these questions should naturally arise. What's going on? And not only this question is to be posed by the scientists, even not in the first place the scientists. People with a heart, people, whoever, everybody in fact. The scientists cannot do anything with this. They don't understand it. They start to look for molecules or for viruses or bacteria or something. It's totally the wrong way. They don't understand relationship. What happens if a man and a woman meets? They only know about the sperm and an egg cell. But that's not the process of man and woman. That's just form. Well, not only form, it's a manifestation also of something deeper. But it's the visible form. If you're in true relationship with the other sex, with the opposite sex, then you don't need to steal energy from other people, let alone from children. This is so unnatural to apparently be so desperate and stuck that you have to go to children to get something back of the life force. This is sick. Totally irresponsible, and that, again, as I said in the beginning, it doesn't lead to anything, anywhere. This makes it all more for the children so sad that they're sacrificed for nothing. So not only we must protect these children, which we must, but also expose the whole irresponsible way of living of people. What leads to this excesses. Else it will happen again and again if people don't understand. If people are still stuck, they will still try to find ways to steal energy in whatever form. Whether it's through money, through sex, through power, even spiritual power maybe. Well, not maybe, certainly. And this is all not true. So it's not just some spiritual law or order to be humble. No, it's nature to be humble. Humbly offering yourself to the opposite sex, to want to unite, want to connect. This is nature. This is already humbleness. You don't have to force it through any religion like Christianity or whatever form of religion. You have to make the 10 commandments to people to act like this or that. That's all fake. You must feel it in yourself. This urge, this longing to connect, to love, to make love, to... There's no preacher who should tell you this. It's in yourself. It's nature. As soon as you need a preacher, there's something wrong already. And usually the preachers are even more deluded, gone from the truth. So yes, people should reconnect again with themselves, but then with themselves through the other. You cannot connect to yourself and then find yourself and then go in a relationship. It goes together. I mean, you cannot find yourself without being in a relation. It's not possible. In relation, you see how you function, and you see what's all about it. And if you're humble enough indeed, then you can take the feedback, not necessarily by words of the other one, but just how the other one reacts to you. You can learn such a lot. But of course the ego blocks this. It doesn't want this information. It defines itself as perfect ego. Well, it uses other words. And then it wants to use other people to sustain the self-image. Yeah, that's a hopeless enterprise. And you start to steal energy, steal life force, because it doesn't work. Because you're not in relations. Be in relation. Be in love. So yeah.